First of all, I want to thank Honorable Chief Minister for this opportunity for me to be here. It seems to me that I am the odd man out here. I'm not sure how, but it's great to see several stakeholders across the country sitting together, exchanging experiences, sharing ideas to address this very important issue. And I'm not too sure whether a similar event was held anytime, anywhere in the country. So congratulations to State of Goa and indeed to all of you for this great initiative. I'm nobody in this field, but I must explain to this audience how my association with this subject, essentially Dr. Kale is responsible, and that too started with very funny thing. In BARC, we found that suddenly the population of stray dogs was going on. And that was a matter of worry, and then finally when we traced put in the cause, we found that that's the canteen food which gets wasted, that gets dumped. And even if you clear it every day or twice a day, the period for which it gets stored is enough food for the dogs. And that is, and then a suggestion came by somebody that, well, we have an incinerator. They said, we just put the food and burn it, and that is what I didn't like. And that is when I requested Dr. Kale to find out a microbiological solution that I remember my words in those days to see. And then came Mr. Corona, then came the entire, I think all that Dr. Kale has done in this field, which I have been watching very closely. So that is all my linkage with the field of waste management. But having observed this for such a long time, it's very clear to me that this is a problem which it of course requires technology, it requires scientific understanding, it certainly requires an administrative and legislative push. But this cannot happen without participation of people, and sometimes it makes me sad that we act only on directions of courts rather than by ourselves. And this is a story which repeats everywhere. Coming from Mumbai, I know every time we see in the news some kind of court observation or dictate, and then suddenly something happens. Half of it for good cause, remaining half maybe just to address a court order, and the problem persists. The mountains of dump are growing, and so as we heard Dr. Kale talking, I think any waste management problem, I am more familiar with nuclear waste management rather than municipal solid waste management. But the principles of solid or principles of waste management fundamentally require attention to waste at source. And of course, the second principle is there is nothing like waste. So in fact, you know, in India, nuclear waste, we call it resource, and we recycle all of it. If not all, maybe most of it, 99%, we do recycle. Now, so this point that was being made, that we must make sure that municipal solid waste or the biodegradable part of the waste must be minimized and segregated right at source. Because otherwise there is a huge health management burden on the society, and it comes in the form of these waste dumps. They generate methane. At times they start burning. Water particulates get into air. In all big cities we have been seeing it happened in Bombay, it happened in Delhi, and we don't want smaller cities to get into that model. The second part is they also contribute to the contamination of groundwater. That's where a lot of pathogens, harmful pathogens grow. When it rains, a lot of it through that water gets into the water streams or groundwater, which also causes a lot of health hazard. And if one, but I had requested whether we can find people, if one looks at the burden, the expenditure that the state has to make in taking care of the health management, and the benefit one would get if the solid waste management is handled well. And in my simplistic understanding, it looks to me that the local body would tend to be in the positive, but it will save some money by way of saving on health management burden simply because it has spent money on waste, municipal solid waste management. So I don't have numbers, I have not seen any such study, but since all of you are from this domain, maybe it's worthwhile getting some study at least in a particular local body wherever it's possible. And I think that conclusion will be telling, and that will give some impetus to more attention to this problem. The second point that I wish to make is once the biodegradable part of the waste is well handled, I think the remaining part of the waste, most of it is recyclable, and technologies are emerging for that which are at present appear difficult to recycle, and one can make the value structure in such a manner that this entire thing becomes a part of so-called circular economy. And I think that is quite possible. It's possible even in the case of degradable waste. But the point is, degradable waste has an associated health hazard, and so probably we should tackle that upfront with some proactive approach. The next point that I wish to make is more with respect to the sewage treatment. That's also a part of it. And I know several places, I think that just like Goa is the best example in the context of solid waste management. The Jamshedpur, city of Jamshedpur, they have done a great job in terms of managing the sewage waste and the recycled waste. There are many other cities. I think Chennai is a great example. Nagpur, a whole power plant runs without drawing any water, any fresh water. It's all recycled water. So I think slowly the technologies and methodologies are arising where we can get into the so-called circular economy in terms of managing these issues. what is required really is the mindset. And so it's a question of processes at the level of citizens, processes at the level of the local bodies, and the processes at the level of government by way of creating legislations, actions is very important. And in that, this part of decentralized management is extremely important. Primarily, the responsibility of producer, as far as the biodegradable waste is concerned, we are all in our houses. We are the producers. So, there is that responsibility. Just like we talk about extended producers' responsibility, I think there is that user's responsibility which should be fixed. Taking the next step, we need to make sure that whatever goes out of our doorsteps. I know in old times we used to have the thali in which we eat. It was mandatory that it's absolutely clean. You should be able to see your face in the thali in which you have eaten your food. Today our habits are not like that, and I think we need to inculcate that habit into everybody's practice. Now, and the same thing continued at all levels. So it's while it's a governance problem, statutory activities, but it's also a social problem and bringing the whole community together, our collective responsibility. So I think I do expect that this meeting would certainly, because this is a very difficult thing, and your presentation and you have to create this rule, that rule, how people don't follow rules. These are all issues, and I'm sure these issues will be different in different states or different local bodies. And I think this kind of opportunity to share the experience would enable us to reach an optimum solution. So I wish a great meeting and a very fruitful meeting. Thank you very much.